Okay, so I'm going to show you how I do a water droplet on this really cool leaf. This is from the Magical Jungle coloring book. It's a page in there, okay? So what I'm doing first, you can't really see it, but I based it in pale sage, which is number 1079 or 1089, sorry, it's pale sage. Then what I'm doing is I'm taking moss green, and I'm taking the moss green, and what I'm doing is I'm putting the dark at the top and then the dark at the bottom, and then where I want the light to kind of shine through, I'm leaving a little area in the middle, okay? So I kind of speeded it up because you don't really, need to see the whole thing. I mean, you kind of got it. I use my little flicking method where I flick the, the pencil in, and then I start at the top, like you can see there, and start at the bottom, and I just leave the areas where I want it, the little light reflection to shine through. So then what we're going to do is we're going to add some colors on top of this, and then we're going to go and I'm going to show you how to do the water drops. But you just continue it all the way through until you're happy with how you like the light reflection part of it. Okay, so here I just slowed it down a little bit so that you can see kind of a little bit more about how I do it in real time instead of making it so fast. But you kind of get the idea, right? I'm just taking the color and I'm putting it darker where the sides are, right? And I'm flicking it with my flicking motion to the middle. And then I'm doing the same thing with the other side so that both sides meet and then they both kind of fade into each other like that. See? I just kind of flick it, put more pressure at the bottom, and then bring it up to about where I want the reflection to go. And then I always turn the picture to face me because for me it's easier if I make the picture, go to where I draw. And what I mean by that is where I'm comfortable, where the picture is comfortable to where my pencil is. Because I like to pull it towards me sometimes, and then sometimes I like to twist it a little bit so I can pull it away from me, as you can see here. See how I kind of switch it around? Because sometimes it just depends on my drawing style. So like with you, you're going to have to figure out what your drawing style is. Like here, because I'm going down and up, I like to turn it that way. But then if I do the top part, I will turn the picture all the way around and do the top part and then flick it away from me. Because I always want my pressure to be where I start, and then I want it to lighten up as I go forward onto the picture. So here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue and just get this all done, and then I'm going to put in another couple layers. And if you watch me for any time of period or whatever, you know that my method is to use a lot of layers, because layers is what makes your picture have depth and just to be a lot more realistic looking. So I'm just going to go through and finish all this, and then I'm going to put another layer on. Okay, so here you can see I just speeded it up, but I'm just adding more of the moss green onto here, and I'm just finishing the entire one off here. Now what I'm doing here is I'm I'm putting in prussian green, which is 109, and I'm just kind of giving it just a little bit darker of an area there so that the moss green is underneath it, right? And I'm putting the prussian green just like a little layer on top, where I want it a little bit darker. I'm still leaving a lot of the moss green underneath it, you can see that, but just I'm accentuating, I guess that's the word, accentuating a little bit by putting the Prussian green in the areas where I want it to be a little bit more dramatic. You know me, got to have the drama. So now I'm just doing the same thing. I just speeded up the video because I kind of showed you what I'm doing. You don't need to see the whole thing. I hope you get it. I'm just still doing the same thing with the Prussian green here. See, I'm putting it in, and I just take my time and I lay the color in just to give it the darkness. And then we're going to add another color on top of this one. So here now is where I'm taking Deco Yellow, which is number 1011, and I'm going to just go over the entire leaf with the Deco Yellow to give that white area a little bit more of a oomph to it, I guess, if you will, and then also to use it as a blender. So I'm not using any kind of a blender pencil. I'm just using the yellow as the blender, okay? Okay, so now what you're going to have to do here is just kind of pay attention to what's coming up next. I'm using Espresso, okay? Espresso is number 1099. And what I'm doing is I'm making like a little oval shape, kind of like a shape of a teardrop. And I'm kind of putting it in between the light part and the dark part so you can see through it. And I'm just making a little circle. Then along the top edges is where I'm making the shadow at the top. And then I want to make a little shadow at the bottom. But you want it to be able to see through a little bit. Okay, so you just use and lightly, just lightly like I'm doing, just kind of go around and make it, you're gonna have to play with it a little bit so you can start seeing it. And then underneath, you see how I'm putting a little shadow, right? See, it already looks like a water drop, right? See? Then I'm gonna take a little bit of that Prussian green again and darken up the top part of that water drop, okay? And then I'm gonna do the same thing to the bottom. Then we gotta put in a little bit of highlight and see, it already looks like a water drop, right? So you just kind of want to play with it a little bit until, and if you've got to close your eye a little bit and then kind of back up and get back to it again to look so that it looks like a little water drop. Some of them come out better than others, you know. I've done some really awesome ones where it's like so realistic, and then other ones, well, I could have done better. So I think I'll do a couple of them on this one so that you can kind of see how some of them come out great. Some of them are like, so. But it just depends on how you put those shadows. So you just got to kind of play with it. And take your time. You know, I kind of rushed through this one a little bit, but just take your time. And like I say, step away from it a minute if you can, and just kind of look far away and say, okay, well, where do you think you need more shadow, right? See, I'm defining more of the shadows now. So now I see what I'm looking at it right now. You can tell I'm just kind of looking at it and saying, okay, well, do I need to look at it some more? Now I got to grab the white. This is a white Signo gel pen, okay? So what I do here now is I'm just going to add the highlight in right at the top and then sort of kind of near the line on the bottom. And then if I happen to go over the line on the bottom, what I do here is I just take the espresso again and I just go over that line just a little bit just to get it more defined. And you just got to work with it a little bit, you know, to make sure that the highlights look like highlights. So I just continue on and work just kind of delicately and just take my time with it. And then I say, well, maybe it needs another little drop. So I'm going to draw another one. I'm going to use that same espresso pen. Well, I mean pencil, the espresso pencil, Prismacolor pencil, and I'm going to draw another drop. So I do the same thing. Just make a circle, make it darker at the top, darker at the bottom, right? And I need to make sure my pencil's sharp. So here I'm just kind of refining the sides, the top, and making the shadow. And then I got to go back in with the Signo and put in the little highlight again. And I always you've got to take the white gel pen, and before you put it on your artwork, do a little line on your piece of paper first to make sure that it flows good, because otherwise it'll get stuck and then you'll it won't work. But you got to always go back in again. Well, I do anyway. Go back in again with your espresso and just kind of more refine it, you know, so that it looks good. Now we can just go make another one, right? And have fun. I'm just doing the same thing again right here, making the little oval shape and darkening the top. You know, the more you practice this, the better you're going to get. You can do it even on any kind of practice thing. You don't have to do it on your original first. Just practice getting that shape. You can make water drops on anything. It'll look like this, but you just got to practice using the same technique with the round little oval circle. Then use that's just a regular espresso, or you can even use a pencil. But I like the espresso if I'm doing leaves because it's got that little, you know, it's got a kind of a greenish tint to it. But and I just do the same thing and making another drop. I just go back after I look at everything, and then I just kind of go and I refine all the areas, and I just kind of relax, put on a little music, and just kind of go back and just kind of look at it and make the areas just a little bit more refined where I want it to, you know, pop out more, my extreme coloring drama effect. So I hope you had fun. I'm going to finish this picture and stay tuned for the coloring worksheet.